Perhaps in that distant future, it's really possible that we could find intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. As for friendly contact, or are there wars over resources in the universe? Everything we have so far is just speculation? That was all. This is unique shield. It was once the first in the universe. The system, the largest star ever discovered. So how big is Oedipus Shield? According to current scientific observations, the radius outside the constellation of Shield is approximately 1/708 solar radii. That's about 1.188 billion kilometers, equivalent to 7.92 astronomical units. What is the concept of 92 astronomical units? The Earth is about 150 million kilometers from the Sun. That is the one-day gate unit. And 7.92 astronomical units is about 8 times the distance between the Earth and the Sun. The wood shape is about 5 days away from the Sun. Saturn is about 9.5 days from the Sun. That is to say, once the shield is placed left and right outside the center of the solar system, then it will swallow Mercury, Venus, Earth, the orbits of Mars, and even Jupiter. If you have no idea about 7.92 astronomical units, so let's take the speed of light as an example. Light moves about 300,000 kilometers per second. So a beam of light wants to travel from one point outside of Shield to the other end outside of Shield. It takes about 132 minutes, and a beam of light wants to pass through the Earth. It only takes about 0.04 seconds. This is Universe Shield, a superstar 9,500 light-years away. However, the universe is always constantly refreshing our human cognition. There will never be a shortage of miracles in the vast universe. Scientists have discovered a brand new superstar in the universe. That's Stephenson 218. Stephenson 218, also known as RSGC 218. It's a giant star in the constellation of Shield. It was discovered by American astronomer Charles Bruce Stephenson in 1990. However, since Stephenson 218 is more than 20,000 light-years away, at that time, humans could not measure the exact size of such a distant star. This is why the Shield has always been at the top of the star volume list. It was not until later that human observation and measurement methods were improved. Only then can we more accurately calculate his specific size. According to the measurement, the apparent geodesic half-field of 3218 is approximately 1.50 billion kilometers. This is equivalent to approximately 2,158 solar domains. This means that Stephenson 218 is about 10 billion times the size of the Sun. Which means 10 billion suns add up to a Stephenson 218. Our Sun is about 130 million times the size of the Earth. It can be said that the Earth is no different from a night of dust in front of Stephenson 218. Now we're going to use what you already know to get a clear picture of how big Stephenson 3218 is. Stephenson 218 has a radius of approximately 1.50 billion kilometers. We calculate the equatorial circumference of Stephenson 218 is approximately 9.42 billion kilometers. A beam of light wants to surround Stephenson 218. It takes approximately 523 minutes. That's 8.7 hours. For comparison, a beam of light wants to reach the Moon from the Earth. It only takes about 1.27 seconds. Now let's suppose that 218 Stephenson is a superstar. We don't consider attractive forces. Other conditions, such as living environment, if we humans lived on this superplanet. So we're driving a car at 100 kilometers per hour. If you want to circle around the real tattoo 218, it takes about 3,925,000 days. That's the equivalent of 10,153 years. So that's the scale of the Stephenson 218. So why is the Stephenson 218 so big? This is because almost all stars expand during their later years. It gets bigger. And Stephenson 218 is in the late stages of saving. This is the red supergiant period. Stars in this stage become much larger than stars in the early and middle stages. However, its state is unstable due to rapid expansion. The luminosity change is relatively large. The average luminosity is 440,000 times that of our Sun. However, it has a cooler surface temperature. It's only about 3,000 degrees centigrade. And because it's more than 20,000 light years away, so it's invisible to us from Earth without a telescope. So is Stephen 3218 the largest star in the universe? No, definitely not. Because almost all the stars we observe so far are located in the Milky Way. And in this vast galaxy, there are at least 200 billion to 400 billion stars. Our current technology cannot observe the data of every star. Due to the limitations of our location, those distant stars are obscured by certain stars and even interstellar matter. Yeah, we can't see exactly what they look like. It is impossible to obtain their accurate data on Earth. And now we don't even know how many stars there are in the Milky Way galaxy. 200 billion to 400 billion is just a guess by scientists about the number of stars in the Milky Way series. That was all. And beyond this vast galaxy is an even bigger universe. We don't compare distant stars. Let's say Andromeda is about 2.50 million light years away. Scientists estimate that there are at least 1 trillion stars in Andromeda. With so many stars, isn't there anything bigger than Stephenson 218? Even though Stephenson 218 is the most informative rampage in the Milky Way, and even Andromeda. However, in the entire universe, galaxies like Andromeda and the Milky Way, we still know too little about this vast and boundless universe. Perhaps in billions of years we will find we don't even understand the tip of this cosmic iceberg. What about this vast and boundless interstellar space? What is the ultimate purpose of the universe and even all existence? What is the significance of the birth of the universe? Since humans began to understand the universe, the vastness of the universe is always refreshing our worldview. The universe is bigger than we can imagine. It's hard to imagine the significance of such a large universe. This is a true image of Earth as seen from the International Space Station. We can see our entire planet from here. Azure Sea, vast yellow desert, descending mountains, and the ground under your feet now. It's the world we know. In this seemingly vast world, lives tens of millions of known and unknown creatures. All the history and culture you are familiar with. Every relative and traveler you know. Everything you've experienced and every dream you've had. Every road you have traveled and every scenery you have seen are performing in the field of 510 million square kilometers of planets. And when we zoom in to see the entire universe, we're going to discover that the Earth is just the smallest speck of dust in the universe. Beyond Earth, Jupiter is more than 1,000 times the size of Earth. A single storm on Jupiter could easily engulf our entire planet. And of course, the blazing sun above us. Although he is more than 150 million kilometers away from us. However, the scorching light he emitted also gave the entire Earth light and heat. There is also life in the ocean. The sun is about 1.30 million times the size of our Earth. However, the sun is just the most common one in the galaxy. In a galaxy 120,000 light-years in diameter, there are at least 200 billion stars like our sun. However, when we step out of the galaxy, we'll find that the Milky Way has turned into a bigger grain of sand again. This is Andromeda message, a message bigger than the Milky Way. And what you're seeing here is a true representation of the Andromeda message. In it, we cut a small area. So as we zoomed in on this area, we're going to see a map with lots of bright spots on it. Each of these bright spots is a massive star. Planets like Earth are just the fringe material left by these stars. However, the Milky Way and the Andromeda planet, just two ordinary galaxies in this vast universe. In the universe, like the Milky Way, Andromeda is full of surprises like stars. Although we have the powerful Hubble telescope, more seemingly powerful aerospace technology, and it was difficult. It's conceivable that we haven't been able to figure out how many galaxies there are in the universe until now. Except for galaxies, of course. There are also nebulae, black hole dark matter, the existence of dark energy and other cosmic matter. It is because of them that this vast and grand universe is formed. They have been running alone for at least 1380 billion years. They have no purpose, no thought. It's just slowly evolving according to a law that we don't know who made it. That's the universe as we know it. You and me and our entire civilization. All life on Earth means nothing to the universe. We can only go to a pair of conscious energies that were born in the history of the universe. That was all. And that consciousness means nothing to the universe. So if so, the universe is so vast. What is the ultimate purpose of the universe and even all existence? Is it to evolve life? Was it for the birth of the Earth? No, definitely not. Because for the universe, life on Earth is as meaningless as rocks on Mars. That is to say, we humans are not fundamentally different from a pile of rocks in the eyes of the universe. It's just a collection of different things in the universe. So why does the universe exist? No one can know. Countless human stars are seeking the truth of the universe. According to the current scientific understanding of mankind, the universe began with a huge explosion. A giant explosion occurs at the beginning of an infinite density. Time begins here. Space was born. As time goes by, matter and energy in the universe are converted into each other, started to converge to form the vastness of the universe. In the course of cosmic travel and evolution, and all of these energies would follow an established pattern. That's heat. In the self-heating state, it can only go from hot to cold forever. Heat cannot spontaneously transfer from a cold object to a hot object. This process is defined by scientists as increasing quotient, and the damage to the universe will increase over time. Order leads to disorder. When the damage of the universe reaches its maximum, all the other available energy in the universe has been converted into heat. The temperature of all substances reaches thermal equilibrium. There is no more energy in the universe to maintain the operation of the universe. The universe has become a countless state of chaos. Silence. Scientists call this state a flesh mark. And the thermometer is one of the best predictions in science about the end of the universe. He was born out of the second law of thermodynamics. If the universe really works according to the damage theory, and that would mean that our universe is going to die, everything will be corrupted by injuries, towards a state of chaos and disorder. However, this is just a guess by some human scientists about the future of the universe. The ultimate purpose of the universe and of all existence is not so much a scientific question. It's more of a philosophical question. Humans still have too little knowledge of the universe. Was the Big Bang established? Does dark matter exist? Whether the quotient increase theory is applicable to the evolution of language, there's no clear answer. Perhaps there is an answer in everyone's heart. We are so small that our lives are only a few short decades. The universe is either the continuation of time or the scale of space. Are beyond our reach? Perhaps we are still just ants to the universe. And all we can do is imagine the universe infinitely. And live your bumping life in this ignorant imagination. That was all. Look closely at this photo, because this next picture is going to change your worldview. It even makes you doubt the world you know. In this photo, what do you see? Did you see the Milky Way? There are also some distant star clusters and red couple matter. And most of it was pitch black. Can't see anything. But what we're going to see is this dark place in this photograph. Now let's zoom in on the whole picture. It's called the dark zone. What we see is that these so-called dark areas are not really dark. We will see countless twinkling bright spots. They look like the stars that we see on Earth. As we continue to enlarge and brighten the entire photo, and we get this picture. The video is full of small patterns, large and small. And these patterns are big pieces of information. Hard to imagine. In the dark sky of the Earth, so much information is hidden in a small area. And this picture is the famous Harbaugh ultrasound empty field. HUDF is also known as HUDF. It's a real picture from outer space taken by Harbaugh. That is to say, what you're seeing here is not some computer-generated magic image. It's the real universe. Each of those bright spots is a huge amount of information, similar to our own Milky Way galaxy. The Harbaugh ultrasonic factory shows a small part of the fornax. This image was obtained by the Hubble Space Telescope between September 24, 2003 and January 16, 2004. The accumulation of data, equivalent to 113 days of exposure, is as of 2006. the most distant impression of the universe captured with visible light. Shows a view of the universe more than 13 billion years ago. NASA scientists estimate that there are at least 10,000 galaxies in this picture. According to data provided by NASA, which released the photo, 10,000 galaxies in this image. It only occupies a very small area in the entire Night Canyon. The range shown in Hubble's Ultra-God Palace is 3 square points down, about 112.7 million times the size of the All-Heaven Palace. It's just that in the starry sky we see from Earth, we aggregate 1 in 12.7 million of these regions. There are at least 10,000 hidden messages in this area. And this is not the limit. Due to the location of the Earth, even a telescope as powerful as the Hubble telescope cannot see all the information in this region. Due to the distance, the light from many galaxies has become extremely faint when it reaches Earth. Even the Hubble telescope can barely capture. So 10,000 galaxies in this 12.7 millionth region. Most likely just the tip of the iceberg. That's why we can't figure out how many galaxies there are in the universe. It took the Hubble telescope at least 113 days to see through this so-called 12.7 millionth part. We want to use the Hubble telescope to look at 12.7 million views of the entire sky. It is estimated that it will take at least a few million years. And that doesn't include the distant information that we can't see. Camera for surveys that he was carrying. Near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer. A total of 11.3 days respectively. It took 4.5 days to shoot. The faintest star in this picture is only 30 degrees. That is, the telescope only accepts 1 short photon per minute from that star. According to the Big Bang Theory, our universe was born 137 years ago. The age of the universe is infinite. Therefore, the light from those distant stars takes a long time to reach our planet. And Harvard ultrasonic space does exactly that. Hubble telescope receives light from stars in the early universe. The earliest can be extended to about 700 million years after the birth of the universe. That is, we can see the early stars about 13 billion years ago in visible light. And before Hubble ultrasonic, the Hubble telescope took a picture called Hubble growth back in 1995. Back in 1993, many scientists and even astronomical institutions hoped to obtain the observation data of the Hubble telescope. Especially after the overhaul in 1993, the Hubble telescope cured his myopia. This expensive cause that almost closed down LASA finally began to raise its eyebrows. All kinds of official requests are pouring in. Filled Hubble's schedule. It is in this case, Hubble was replaced by Robert Williams, then director of the Space Telescope Institute in the United States. Required for 10 consecutive days. No one knows what he wants. After a few days, Williams's secret observation mission beats the world. Suddenly let everyone steep wood in other pockets. He actually wanted to use this precious stone, photograph an area of the sky that looks empty. This area, located in the constellation Nobita, near the Big Dipper.
The area is only 1% of the full moon.
It was hard for many people to imagine at the time. It's a precious 10 days to observe a dark place where nothing seems to exist. Does it really make sense? However, when Haber showed the results of 342 exposures in 10 days to the world, Everyone is left with only heartfelt admiration. In this seemingly desolate sky, nearly 3,000 galaxies, large and small, have appeared. Hubble shows us what the deep universe really looks like. And this is Hubble's famous figure. This awe-inspiring piece of celestial bodies and points of light depicted by Hubble's body. Almost all of them are novelties. Only a few stars with an occulting light are stars in our galaxy. And those trees are bigger than the darkest staircase we can see with our eyes. 41 times dimmer. If it weren't for the Hubble telescope, we may never see these distant galaxies. In the vastness of the universe, we are always seeking the direction in which we were born. But the farther we can see from Earth, we'll be closer to the past of the universe. Origin of galaxies. The closer we are to the beginning of the universe and the boundary of the universe, which means that the closer we get to the nature of the universe, the clearer we are about our place in the universe. So 13 billion light years is Hubble's limit? No, definitely not. And in the next issue, we're going to go to an even farther place. That's the famous Harper and Deep. A famous photo that will push the limits of human observation. Welcome to the next issue. Universe 1320 billion years ago. Pay close attention to this photo. What do you see? You must have thought you saw a sky full of stars. There's even the not-so-big moon. In addition to that, only the endless dark void. And then we zoom in on this image. You will witness the birth of a miracle. Now we've blown this up by a factor of several. The moon you see now has become very clear. The lunar sea and radiation patterns are clearly visible. However, when we look closely, we will see that there are a lot of grids in this image. Now focus your attention on that blue grid. The miracle we are about to witness is there. This is a comparison of the blue grid with the moon. This grid, when viewed here on Earth, it's about 1% of the area of the full moon. That is to say, when we look at him with the naked eye on our Earth, we can't see any matter. It's just a completely dark area. However, as we continue to enlarge and brighten it, so what do we see? We saw a twinkling picture of the Great Collar Galaxy. In this small area where we seem to be dark and harmless. Hidden is a vast cosmic believer. There's at least 5,000 pieces of information in this picture. Every piece of information is a massive structure, comparable to our own galaxy. And this delight that we can only see by zooming in and brightening. Both exist only in that little blue area we saw at the beginning of the video. What we see here on Earth is a pitch-black dot. Not even a ball. And this photo is today's photo released by LASA. Harbaugh Set Growth. September 25, 2012. LASA released an image of the depths of the universe taken by Harbaugh on the official website. The full name is Harbor Extreme Liftoff Market, abbreviated as XDF, also known as the Hubble Factory. Mentioning this Haber Collection Factory, we must mention a great telescope. Hubble Telescope. Before the Hubble telescope lifts off, humans do not have the means to observe the universe particularly efficiently. Most of them are just observations and predictions of the liftoff area in the universe using astrophysical mirrors. Because of the rotation of the Earth, this prevents us from taking long exposures of a region of the universe on Earth. And this will inevitably prevent us from seeing the light emitted by celestial bodies in some distant regions. So the farthest that naturalists can see 7 billion, a limited number of galaxies light-years away. Only half the age of the universe. Ground-based telescopes cannot observe how galaxies were born and evolved in the early universe. It wasn't until the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope in 1990 that we changed our view of the universe. The advent of the Ahab telescope has also brought a whole new universe to humanity. Since the Hubble telescope is hundreds of kilometers above the Earth, it is not affected by the rotation of the Earth. At the same time, there is no influence of the Earth's atmosphere cave dwellings at high altitudes. This allows us to take advantage of the Harvard dream world. It takes a very long time, a very long exposure to aim at a region of the universe. And we would be getting a picture of the universe that we've never seen before. This is the history of the Harbaugh factory. The Harbor Collection Plant was born out of the Harbor Super Liftoff Field. As for what is Harbor Superspace, we introduced it in detail in the video of the last issue. Different from the elongated and hyper-extended concentrated shooting method photographed by Haber earlier, the Hubble Hub factory was created by superimposing 10 years of observation data. The observed interzone is still the Hubble superproducing area in the constellation of Celis, but it's a little smaller than the Haber ultrasonic city. When this photo was taken, science talks about people. Let Haber once again aim the camera at a small piece of the blue sky. Continuous observation for 50 days. Exposure time of more than 2 million seconds. Scientists have used Harbaugh's 2 main cameras in addition to the advanced camera for surveys. And the 3rd generation wide area camera captured more than 2,000 images. He also fused some data from the latest infrared camera and sent it. The final combination is this famous XDF market. That is the Harbor Jisheng factory. The Harbaugh plant contains approximately 5,500 pieces of information. Most of the galaxies in the Hubble fuselage field are small. They were young growing up. There are often violent collisions and mergers. The early universe was an exciting period of travel. Contains a large number of exceptionally brilliant blue giants. The properties of the expansion of the universe and the speed of light. Their light has just reached Earth. So the Harbaugh Deep Field is a time tunnel from the distant past. He extended humanity's horizons to 1320 billion years ago. And the universe was born 1370 billion. That is to say, and in this picture you see the early galaxies of the universe. And we're looking at the past of the universe with this picture. This is the beauty of the universe. We were able to kind of travel through time. And Hubble allows us to see those distant visions of the past. Scientists have discovered a very young message in this photo. He is only 451 years away from the Big Bang. So this is what we're looking at 451 years after the Big Bang. Use these images from the past, but they can study the formation of the early universe. Unravel the secrets of how the universe was born. It can be said that Hubble Jisheng Factory is an upgraded version of Hubble Jisheng Factory and Hubble Super Factory. He still looks better than Harbison and Harbison. And the Hubble telescope is a very old telescope. He has brought us countless images of the cosmic sky over the past 30 years. Refresh our understanding of the entire universe And in the future, a more powerful dream rainy season, American space clouds are about to lift off. He serves as Haber's successor. Ninja will be stronger than Haber. Maybe then we will see an even more magnificent universe. A true cosmic blueprint is about to unfold for us. How long will it take for humans to leave the solar system? This is an extremely interesting question. I want to understand this question. First, let's see how big the solar system is. Our solar system is a single star system. The Sun is the only star in the entire galaxy. And beyond the Sun are the 8 planets that we know about, and the asteroid belt between the 8 planets. This is the solar system as we knew it in its earliest days. With the improvement of human observation methods, especially in confusion, after the discovery of metastatic gestational dwarf, we found that there is a vast region beyond Neptune. This area is called the Science Expo Belt. In the first wave of science and technology, in addition to dwarf planets, there are a large number of asteroids. However, the Kobo Belt is not the edge of the solar system either. There is a wider cloudy world beyond the first wave of science and technology. It's like a bubble surrounding our entire solar system. Scientists call this so-called bubble region the Oort cloud. Therefore, scientists believe that the solar system should be a single planet containing the 8 planets of the Sun. Asteroid belt. Huge amounts of information in regions such as the first wave belt and the Oort cloud. However, since the edge of the Oort cloud is currently almost undefined, the current scientific community generally believes that the edge of our solar system should be calculated by the attractive force of the Sun. So our solar system should be a star with the Sun as a ball, a sphere with a radius of light years beyond the attractive force of the Sun. And to fly out of the solar system, you need to fly this light year distance. So how long does it take to fly out of this light year? The fastest probe that we've ever flown is the Parker Solar Probe. On January 29, 2020, he achieved the fastest speed ever achieved by a human aircraft. Reached 393,000 kilometers per hour. At this rate, the Parker Solar Probe will take less than an hour to reach the moon. And light travels about 300,000 kilometers per second. And the distance that light travels in 1 year is about 9,160.7 billion kilometers. If Parker and others were careful to set off from Earth at this extreme speed, then it takes about 1,343 days. That's 2,748 years. Voyager 1 is an unmanned outer solar system space probe developed by NASA. It is also the farthest probe ever flown by humans. It can be said that Voyager 1 is also the closest probe to the edge of the solar system by humans to date. According to the information announced by NASA, as of April 2021, Voyager 1 is 22.819 billion kilometers from the Sun. Voyager 1 took place on September 5, 1977. As of April 2021, Voyager 1 has been flying for about 43 years and 7 months. Then we do the calculations in turn. That's the equivalent of 523.60 million kilometers a year for Voyager 1. A light year is about 9,160.7 billion kilometers. So it would take a traveler about 18,069 years to leave the solar system, minus the 43 years and 7 months that have been on fire. Therefore, Voyager will leave the solar system approximately 18,025 years later. That's 2846 AD. Airplanes are the fastest means of transportation for humans in the world. It is also the fastest human aircraft that ordinary people are likely to ride. An average commercial airplane flies at about 900 kilometers per hour. Then by calculating, civil airplanes are heading out of the solar system in a straight line. Then it would take about 1.20 million meters to fly out of the solar system. The speed of the car is about 100 kilometers per hour. If there were a straight highway from Earth to the edge of the solar system, so let's start from Earth. It would take about 10.8 million years to reach the edge of the solar system. How about we walk? So we calculate at the rate of 1 meter per second that the average person walks. You can walk about 3.6 kilometers in an hour. So let's start from Earth. Along a straight line, the day and moon are constantly advancing towards the edge of the solar system. It would take about 300 million years to reach the edge of the solar system. And 300 million years ago, dinosaurs weren't even around yet. This is the scale of solar nature. The most advanced technology currently available to humanity takes thousands of years. Therefore, according to the current level of human science, it's almost impossible for us to get out of the solar system. It cannot escape the solar system. It means that our understanding of the universe can only be limited to the stage of telescope observation. That is, everything we know about the universe today is just from our eyes. And this view is bound to be extremely limited. We don't really understand our universe. However, it is even more desperate. Our solar system is just one of the tiniest regions in the vast universe. The observable universe is an astounding 93 billion light-years in diameter. And beyond the observable universe, maybe a wider universe. It's just limited by our means of observation. We will never see that world. For this vast universe, the technology of tears is so backward. We're just a tiny speck of dust in the face of a grand universe. That was all.